What's up guys, Single Player Nacho here with a quick lore video on the obscure and side characters found in the S.T.A.R.S Alpha and Bravo teams. These guys only have less than 2 minutes of screen time, so I thought it'd be nice to dig up interesting tidbits to expand their backstories. Some of them are already found dead on arrival, others die off screen, so I'll try to piece together how and when they died.
Forrest Spader.
Forrest was known as the Omni-Man of Bravo team, a position in the team that is in charge of weapon and vehicle maintenance. He also served as a marksman and had talents in cybersecurity. With a name like Forrest, it's easy to assume that he belonged to a military family, and he was somewhat of a rival to boulder-smashing Chris Redfield, specifically in the marksman department. They'd have shooting competitions back at the station. Unfortunately for Spader, he was part of the S.T.A.R.S Bravo team, which is somewhat of a death warrant. Of the 6 members, only 1 survived. At the time of the helicopter crash, which split up the entire team, Forrest was 29 years old. There's a large gap of time between the crash, but either way, Forrest is found in the upper balcony in the Spencer mansion. His body is already decomposing, and with that exposed ribcage, it was a grotesque death sequence. The most mysterious part of his death, aside from how he died, is his final pose, sitting on a chair. How did he just die sitting down? It's later revealed that Forrest was pecked to death by those rabid crows and was dead long enough to turn into a zombie. Another strange thing that I found was the pace of zombie Forrest. He's pretty fast compared to your run-of-the-mill zombie. Could this be a Forrest Gump reference? That's another video, guys.
Edward Dewey.
Edward served as Bravo team's rear security and helicopter co-pilot. At only 26 years old, he was already considered an expert marksman and actually brought along his favorite weapon, a sniper rifle. Thing is, long-distance weapons don't do well against a horde of up-close and personal Cerberus, or zombie dogs. Edward was easily overpowered and succumbed to his injuries. What's a little bit tragic about Edward is, Edward wasn't necessarily supposed to be with Bravo team during the Forrest mission. Edward served as a co-pilot, but he was the acting main pilot, and Raccoon City police officer Kevin Dewey took his role on this mission. It's not clear if it was voluntary or if he was forced to go, but this mission didn't really need a co-pilot, and yet, Edward met his fate and, in the Ecliptic Express, became a zombie.
Edward! No! Stop! Don't come any closer!
Richard Akin.
Richard Akin was Bravo team's communication expert, one of the youngest members. Richard was known as one of the more sacrificial S.T.A.R.S teammates, always getting in the way before someone else's impending doom. We first see Richard hurt just outside of the giant snake room, with Rebecca Chambers tending to his wounds. This is because Richard jumped in and saved Rebecca at the very last moment against the giant snake. He gets killed in a hugely dramatic way by, you guessed it, saving Chris.
Richard.
After the events of Resident Evil 1, Richard's girlfriend receives this sad letter from the late Richard Akin. Here's a little excerpt. S.T.A.R.S is the only way I can live with myself. I don't want to die in vain. I never want to hesitate when that moment comes again. Don't worry, I'm not that little kid anymore, and I'll come back alive. I promise. You're the most important thing in my life, and I always want to be there for you when you need me. Love, Richard.
Joseph Frost.
Frost is the lone Alpha team member being covered in this video, and that's because he dies in mere seconds after being deployed to the Raccoon Forest. Little is actually known about Joseph Frost. He served as Alpha team's vehicle and equipment maintenance technician. He definitely could have helped out in Resident Evil 0's insane item management. The only tidbit of Frost's personality we have is found in an excerpt from Resident Evil Outbreak that states, Joseph is a cheerful mood maker, but he is bloody and aggressive, tends to run away suddenly, which poetically explains why he was ripped apart by zombie dogs.
Kenneth Sullivan.
And last but not least, Kenneth. This is actually a pretty disappointing death for me because Kenneth died in a cowardly fashion. We first see Kenneth completely 100% dead and being eaten by the first zombie in the Spencer mansion. Examine his corpse and you'll find a videotape. Play the videotape in the presentation room and, just watch it.
Get away from me! No! Hey! No!
Kenneth died shooting and running away from a zombie. A 1 mile per day, slow zombie. What's even worse and shrouds me in disbelief, Kenneth was one of the older S.T.A.R.S members at 45 years old and is said to rival Bravo team leader Enrico Marini. It's all just very strange. So here's a quick summary of the events that led to the death of Bravo team and S.T.A.R.S as a whole. The helicopter was shot down, everyone survived the fall, and everyone stupidly splits up in this giant forest which was reported to house cannibals. Rebecca Chambers, the youngest member, finds some form of safety in the train. Edward Dewey is still out in the forest and is overpowered by zombies and zombie dogs, and dies just seconds before possibly finding safety in the train. Richard, Forrest, and Kenneth manage to escape the forest and head inside the Spencer mansion. These three buttheads decide to split up once more. Forrest checks the right side of the mansion and is eaten alive by crows. Richard finds Rebecca and is still alive at this point, and Kenneth dies investigating the left side of the mansion, just seconds before Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine arrive. But the question is, where was Enrico Marini during the initial split up? It's a good question. Who is your favorite deceased S.T.A.R.S member? Comment down below your thoughts and suggestions for other lore videos. Up next, I'll be investigating a mystery creature found in the Dewey household, so check out that video when it's up. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, stay single.